All right, we are live on YouTube. I wanted to welcome everyone to our design thinking deep dive. I'm June Bea, CEO of Bea Group. We are so excited to have you all here. Bea Group has been working closely with Downey Unified School District for the past 6 years. We have been running the internship program. At first, it was in person, and then the last year, during COVID, we went virtual, and this year we are virtual. So this deep dive is design thinking. We have 13 different deep dives that Downey interns participated in. Everyone is paid. We're so grateful to our funders. So we have grant funding from the California Department of Education, from the California Community College Chancellor's Office, and we are excited to have our deep dive lead, Adam Borick, share a little bit about what he did with design thinking. All of the deep dives are led by industry professionals in their areas of expertise. And then our interns had 2 weeks of onboarding with us at Bea Group, where they got Work Wonder. We call the program internally, we call it Work Wonder. And they had email addresses, they got onboarding with regard to how to be professional, how to hold a job in a virtual environment. And then with all of that, we really wanted them to have a sense of workplace intelligence. So we'll talk more about what workplace intelligence know-how they gathered from these experiences. And so we will have guests kind of jumping in during the live stream, which we will definitely acknowledge when they join us, especially from the district and other industry professionals. So I wanted to welcome Adam. Thanks, Adam, for leading the deep dive. Your deep dive was 4 weeks, and you worked very closely with our group of interns. So would you like to share a little bit about what they did in design thinking?
Yes, of course. Thanks for that introduction, June. Like June said, my name is Adam Borick, and I'm a founding team member of an organization called Blue Dot Education. It's a nonprofit organization out of San Diego that focuses on science as a way of thinking, exploration, and stewardship. And the privilege I had over the last month was to work with this group of young people in the stewardship arena of our mission. And so what we did was we used design thinking, which is essentially a fancy way of saying problem solving, to look at our communities and try to make a difference, have an impact over the time we spent together. And so the interns I worked with, they spent time fully getting to know the problem or the issue that they're looking into, exploring a wide range of solutions, iterating through and like trying different solutions, and then implementing their solutions in an effort to find some kind of desirable, feasible, viable, and sustainable impact that they could have on their local community. And so they went through this whole design process of constantly doing and iterating and trying and failing and trying again and rethinking. And so ultimately, it left me just feeling inspired and humbled that there's young people out there that care this much. I did not put constraints on what they could work on in their community. And the things they came up with are things that are beyond me. Everything from advocacy for LGBTQ in high schools, environmental activism and local cleanups, career readiness in high school, homeless outreach, and normalization of periods and menstrual cycles in schools and in populations. And so these subjects are purely the interns. They are at the forefront of what the young people are thinking about and want and care about. And so I'm really excited to let them share what they learned and what they got out of this experience. And June, if we're ready, we'll go ahead and get started. Cool. Then I'm gonna pass it over to Jackie, Olivia, Jocelyn, and Nina, and they're gonna share about their project.
Thank you, Adam and June. So hello, good morning, everyone. My name is Olivia Ann.
Hello, I'm Nina Cooper.
Hi, I'm Jacqueline Gonzalez.
Hey, I'm Jocelyn Rocio.
And we're the founders of Downey's Period Plan, which is a project focused on providing people with female reproductive systems convenient access to menstrual hygiene products and public restrooms throughout the city of Downey. But for context and all the behind the scenes work, let's dive right into our storybook. So, Chapter 1, How Diversity Led to Unity. Just as the title suggests, we initially came from very diverse backgrounds. More specifically, before we collaborated, we all had different aspects of society we want to target. For example, I want to target mental health awareness, Nina, gender equality, education, and animal care, Jacqueline, period equity, meaning equal access to hygiene products, and Jocelyn, care packages and period equity. Although we individually composed seemingly different vision boards, we had some overlapping ideas, and we ultimately wanted to achieve the same goal, which is to break the stigma on a societal issue that we personally faced in our lives, and then take action to create an effective and positive change. So after several conversations in a Zoom breakout room, we decided to join forces and take action steps toward period equity. Now I'll pass the mic on to Nina.
Thank you, Olivia. Like she was saying, in Chapter 2, the initiation, our foundational goal was to break the menstruation stigma and combat period poverty. In order to do so, we wanted to make sure we're able to install free pads and tampons in public bathrooms, especially in our local communities. And my partner Jocelyn's going to tell you a little bit more about it.
Thanks, Nina. So, to begin, we reached out to the coordinators of Assistance and Assistance League of Downey to help further our vision. After speaking to Kathy, who I know because I'm an assistant, we realized direct publicity through their Instagram would be difficult, so we decided to see how else they could help. After back and forth conversation with Kathy agreed to mention Downey's period plan at the national meeting. Now, we are waiting to hear back from her and what they had to say. Along with talking to this nonprofit, we spoke to community clubs, which Olivia will now talk to you all about.
Thank you, Jocelyn. So as Jocelyn was saying, along with contacting the Assistance League of Downey, we also contacted several other organizations that were in our very local community. For example, we contacted some school clubs, including Warren High School's Power for Periods Club, Downey High School's Let's Erase the Stigma Club, and Warren High School's Mental Health Awareness Club, all of which were very enthusiastic to help us with specifically media publicity. Next, we also contacted Downey High School's ASB, the St. Raymond Catholic Church, and Warren High School, all of which were very, very happy to help us and work with us. And finally, we contacted the National Health Foundation, which coincidentally enough, the next person who will be sharing, Jacqueline, interned here. And the National Health Foundation was also very happy to help us. So Jackie, could you take it away and talk about our Google Form survey?
Thank you, Olivia. A step we took in the beginning of the project was to create a Google form in order to gather information from those with female reproductive systems who live in Downey. In this Google form, we asked questions like if they were a Downey resident, if they had a regular menstrual period, if they ever forgot to pack feminine products such as pads and tampons. On average, how much do they spend monthly on these feminine products? What is their opinion on having to pay for their products? Lastly, do they believe it would be beneficial to install these feminine products inside public restrooms? We identified that majority of those with the female reproductive system tended to forget to pack their feminine products. Out of all the people who took the survey, 92% of them tended to forget to pack their products. They said having feminine products inside public restrooms would alleviate the stress and anxiety of being accidentally stained and bring peace mentally because they wouldn't need to worry about how much forgetting to pack a pad or a tampon. The survey takers also mentioned it would help normalize menstrual periods. This allowed us to see that our idea was very much supported, which is what prompted us to continue with the path of period equity. Now I pass it on to Nina as she talks about the beginning steps of building our network.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Like we're saying, how we can expand our network in Chapter 3. So we wanted to make sure we're able to reach anyone and everyone around the world. So we started off on Instagram. So if you haven't still, please, we would love if you could follow us at Downey's Period Plan on Instagram. Here we post flyers, information, anything you can think of about periods is on there. We basically are telling everyone in the whole entire world that having a period isn't a luxury, it's a necessity to have pads and tampons. Over here to my right, if you look, we actually try to make sure we interact with all our audience. So if you see our logo right here, they actually picked it out, and that's what we want to do to make sure everyone feels safe. We want to interact. We also try to ask for them to donate if they can, especially, our times right now, to our campaign, or even to make sure that they could sign our petition. And right now, Jacqueline's going to tell you a little bit more about our petition.
Thank you, Nina. After creating a platform to share information, we decided to create a petition as a source to receive support from the people of Downey for this movement. We made sure to include pictures that represent our brand along with our overall goal. The first couple of days, we were able to hit 55 signatures. It was slow but successful. Within a week of publicizing our petition, we were able to hit 116 signatures. This was a very big and sentimental accomplishment for all of us because everything was happening very quickly. Within the first week of the internship, we started off running, and to see our hard work over the weeks pay off definitely made us feel proud and hopeful for this project. Now, Jocelyn will talk about how we campaign in order to receive these signatures.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Upon reposting the post that encouraged others to sign our petition, which one of my team members have already talked about, I added a few Downey High School Instagram accounts and Warren High School. Their @s were @Downey Bikes, Downey High School's Youth for Change Club, Erase the Stigma Club, and WHS Bears. From there, they each reposted our account and agreed to help us publicize. Hearing this, we were ecstatic and became even happier after receiving the messages Ms. Simpson sent through Downey Bike's Instagram. They read, "When school starts, come and see me about this topic. I am also very passionate about it." So now we wait until school starts to begin implementing them in Downey High School's bathrooms. Along with this message, she referred us to a nonprofit called the PAD Project, whom was more than willing to help. After discussions and trying to find a date to meet, Rachel, a member of this organization, talked to their marketing team to see how they could help specifically. To continue, we created a campaign for donations. It was a longer process than we expected, but we got it done. Adam, our kind associate, allowed us to use his nonprofit to form a campaign using a sort of template to cut and paste our work, impact statements, and gave us full liberty to do as we wished with our website. We chose brand colors, added our logo to the thank you page, customized the donation page, and edited our goal. By August 14th, we hope to accumulate $2.5 thousand so we could buy the units where we will store the pads and tampons, and also wish to add a sticker of our logo so the brand sticks. Now, I'll pass the mic on to Olivia, who will talk to you all about what we learned and our hopes for the future.
Thank you, Jocelyn. So finally, at last, we are at the last chapter of our storybook, which is titled The Unfinished Journey or To Be Continued. Through the design thinking process, we faced a combination of setbacks, which led us to change the path of our project multiple times. However, that is what design thinking is all about, problem solving. All the trials and errors led to success and resilience, and for us, no was never the answer. Secondly, we learned that passion leads to growth and true determination. Without passion, there would have been no drive to continue and fight the obstacles or setbacks. And finally, we learned that communication and collaboration are absolutely key for any project, because without these two elements, we would have felt so discouraged when things weren't going our way, and unity would not have been evident in our team, but it was. So for our next steps, we plan to continue working on this project, aiming to install menstrual hygiene products in schools, most specifically Downey High School in collaboration with the PAD project and other public spaces. So thank you for listening to our presentation. And if you'd like to support us, please follow our Instagram, sign our petition, and donate. To reiterate, I'm Olivia Ann.
I'm Nina Cooper.
I'm Jacqueline Gonzalez.
I'm Jocelyn Rosillo.
And we're the creators of Downey's Period Plan.
Thank you guys. I'm so, just humbled and inspired, like I said, by the work you're doing. It's just fantastic. And I can tell you guys also put a lot of work into your presentation, and it really showed through. So I'm proud of y'all. We'll have a time for dialogue at the end. We're gonna continue moving forward. Up next, we have Melissa, who's gonna share.
Thank you, Adam, for the introduction. Hi, everyone. As Adam said, my name is Melissa. And what I did during these 4 weeks is I focused on homeless outreach. So care packages and resource flyers is mainly what I was focusing on. So my first step was identifying an issue in my community and coming up with an action plan to make a difference or impact. So to the left, you'll see my planning organizer, which is where I wrote down some ideas in the beginning, my storyline, and kind of why I wanted to do this. So based off that, why I wanted to focus on homeless outreach was because I believe people deserve second chances. And a lot of people do not believe that homeless people do deserve second chances. And I feel like I would want to break that stigma around homeless individuals. There's a lot of stigma that kind of holds back those homeless individuals from reaching out for help because there's so much stigma around them. So my next step was to create an empathy interview. So I went ahead and chose my neighbor. Her name is Adriana Lopez. She is a nurse and she is 34. So I wrote down some questions that I wanted to ask her. Some can be, when was the last time you passed by a homeless individual or family? What goes through your mind? And present my idea to her. So this was our interview. I wrote it down. So we kind of just went back and forth having a discussion about these homeless individuals that are within our neighborhood. She expressed to me that her children actually ask her, like, how can we help? What can we do to help these individuals? And she says that it does break her heart because her children want help. So when she said that, I went ahead and presented her with what I was going to do, which was creating care packages and resource flyers to put up around our neighborhood and around our community so that people know that there's help for them. So she expressed that she really did like this idea, and her kids actually went along to go help me and put up the flyers. I wanted to include them. So my next step was to reach out to resources and organizations. So I went ahead and reached out to 3 different organizations. Out of those 3, only one did get back to me. So this was Horizon Centers in Linwood, and they actually provided me with a lot of resources for being the only organization that responded back to me. And I expressed that I was working with Bea Group and I was doing this community service internship, and I wanted to create homeless care packages and resource flyers. So she provided me with different resources, as you can see right there. So after she provided me with all of that, I went ahead and made my care package list. I went ahead and researched what kind of what I would want to add into my care packages. And these were some of the things that I put: water bottles, deodorant, toothbrush, toothpaste, tissue, mental health and resource flyer, granola bars, socks, hand wipes, things that are for hygiene. So I went out to Dollar Tree to go ahead and buy all of these supplies and products. So this is what the package actually looked like. So I wanted to create homeless packages for all the individuals. There was at least 5 families within my community that I wanted to create. And we'll go ahead and get into why I only created one towards the end. So this is what they look like all put together. My next step after creating that care package was to create my resource flyer, which included mental health, substance abuse resources, resource center and shelter, food banks, and other resources. These resource flyers help those to know that there is help out there for them and they're not alone, and there's close resources around them in their local community. So I went out with my care package after this to go drop off a care package to one of the homeless individuals that was living along the side of the road. And I just talked to him, let him know that I put a resource flyer out there for them and I'm here if he needs anything. I also let him know that I was working with Bea Group, and he was so grateful to know that there's someone out there that is trying to help all the homeless individuals. So I went out and put out all the flyers along my community on the post so that people know that there is resources as they pass by. So my initial plan was to create five care packages, and then I had to revise and create 1 care package and more flyers. The road bump was that 4 of the individuals that were homeless, they actually lived within the railroad tracks, and I did not feel comfortable to walk in there. I did not feel safe. So I kind of backtracked and decided to make more flyers than care packages. So I created one care package and more flyers. Another road bump was that only 1 email was returned out of the 3. And out of the 3 that were returned, the 1 actually did provide me a lot of resources. My overall experience and what I learned that original plans can change. They do change a lot more than I expected. And some things are a waiting game, like waiting for a response from the emails. There's nothing you can do but just wait and be hopeful. And it feels good to do something that can help someone, especially seeing people, go out and read the resource flyers that I set out there. Thank you. If there's any questions or comments.
Thank you very much, Melissa, for sharing. And the thing that really excited me most about this is, societal change, especially on a big issue like homelessness, is going to be really difficult, right? And we only had a month together. And for you to just persevere and make an impact, even we had this conversation a lot. Like, if we help one person, then this is a huge win. And so I'm really proud of the work you did there and sticking with it. Thank you for sharing. Next up, we have Luis.
Thank you, Adam. So now I'll share my screen. I hope you guys can see it. Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Luis Gonzalez and I'm from Downey High School. My project is based on the topic of environmental awareness, focusing on improving an outdoor area of a local church called the Our Lady of the Miraculous Meadow, located in the city of Montebello. So let's start this presentation by talking about my original plan. At first, I was thinking to deliver the project to a community park around my house. After some thoughts, I decided to implement my environmental awareness project to a church. The main reason of this decision was the main reason of this decision was usually because I go to the church with my grandma, so it is special for me. Also, I saw it as an opportunity to give back to my community by improving the International Maria Garden Wall, which is an outside area designated for seniors to make their prayers, like my grandma, the place where I'm working in. Now for my empathy interview, I contacted my friend Elio, which I interviewed him about what was his opinion on environmental awareness. One thing that he mentioned is that education is important to get people to be aware and care for their surroundings. For example, by recycling grocery bags and picking up trash in public places, such as the beach and park, and of course, the churches. I agree with this view and believe that education is a solution to many of our community issues. Now for my first action step of the project, the first thing I did was to visit the church and ask permission to use a place. After that, I put together my team of family members and volunteers. Then I took pictures of the areas that needed to be improved that we saw they had the most trash, or as you can see right here, they had graffiti. Areas that needed to be improved. For my second action step, I emailed Home Depot to ask for project supplies. Unfortunately, I did not get a response back, but I did organize some materials we already had as a team, and some that we received from the church as donations. Now for the real work. The first thing that we did was to rake the leaves and pick up the trash, and also paint a post that was covered in graffiti. After that, my uncle and I painted the candle holders. This was the hardest part for me because there was a lot of rust in the whole candle holder, so it was challenging painting over them. And then the final things we added were to wash the benches, clean windows, and add flowers in front of the chapel. As you can see, there's one of my volunteers helping set that up. Here's a before and after section of what we were able to do, like other improvements in the church. And then to summarize my project, here's another image of the final result, just in general, and then a list of what we were able to complete as a group. We collected 20 trash bags, we cleaned the altars and the roofs, we washed the benches, we broomed the floor, just to name a few. So now what I learned was a lot. I learned that the work requires a lot of steps in order to achieve the final goal. Another thing that I learned about the work is that time management is very critical when completing a project because it ties into something else I learned, which is being organized. Also, I learned that communication skills are very important as a means to understand team members' perspectives. And I got out a lot from this work. First, the experience that this project gave me, the satisfaction of having helped the community, especially the elderly community. Then the support I received in this project from my volunteers and my family. I realized that my actions and decisions can make a difference for others. Finally, the recognition and gratitude that I received for having helped, especially from Father John. Here's a small letter that he wrote to me for like just expressing his thank yous. And then finally, overall, I am proud of myself and will take this experience with me wherever I go. So that was my presentation. Thank you.
Thanks, Luis. And if you could just say your name again, Luis, and introduce yourself again. That way people can see your faces. I know we turned the camera off while you were presenting, just because of some tech issues. So
yeah, of course. Hello, my name is Luis Gonzalez, and I'm from Downey High School.
Cool. Thank you. Great work, Luis. I think it's awesome that not only did you get involved with your local community, but also just to bring out different volunteers and bring the community together to do that work. I was really impressed with that, and I appreciate your efforts. All right, next up, I believe we have my friend Emily, who's going to be sharing.
Okay, so hi, thank you for the introduction. Like Adam mentioned, my name is Emily Perez, and the last couple of weeks, I've been working on improving school environments. So we're gonna start with my original plan. Okay, so as you guys can kind of see here, my biggest concern in my community was like my school atmosphere. Since I'm in high school, I noticed that plenty of students like have come to view like attending school as like a burden. So that was something that I wanted to change. I started off with focusing on improving mental health resources, promoting diversity, bullying and harassment. So those were like the main topics that I wanted to focus on. I started by conducting my my empathy interview, which is over here. These are a few of the questions that I asked. I asked, do you look forward to going to school? And I kind of received like negative answers. I asked if bullying and harassment was an issue at my school. What are your school's biggest flaws? Do you have any suggestions that you think would make school more enjoyable? What would help you look forward to going to school? And after conducting these interviews, I noticed that my school did a pretty good job at promoting diversity, and there was a good amount of like mental health resources, and that kind of tied into my first action step, which I have over here. Before I could suggest any implementation of new resources or propose any ideas I had to kind of like I had to research on like the resources that already existed within my school. So that's where I found that diversity was already being promoted within my school, and they also had a virtual calming cave on the Warren High School distance learning website. And here they had breathing, relaxation, and staying present, exercise resources, but they also offered like support for hotlines and text lines, such as the crisis text line and the National Suicide Prevention Line. And that's where I continued doing my research for the resources that my school offered on harassment and bullying. And I found that they kind of lacked resources in that area. They promoted the digital citizens of character, but that was pretty much it. They did have a forum available on the Warren Distance Learning website where they made it clear that you could contact them for questions, comments, and concerns. But that was pretty much it. And I felt that they needed more than that. So right here, this was my second action step. And here I pretty much put a Google Doc together that I would email to school officials. Here I mentioned the same thing, that they kind of offered this, but I didn't think that it was enough. As a high school student myself, I knew that I had to brainstorm things that I think would actually appeal to students. I know not a lot of students feel comfortable actually going up to, say, the principal and like reaching out to them for help. I know a lot of people aren't comfortable with that. So similar to the Google form that is provided on the website, I suggested that Warren create a Google form that is primarily to report any bullying or harassment within school. I feel like the Google form that was already provided wasn't a reliable source to report bullying and harassment, because students might hold back from using it just because they feel like it isn't an appropriate way to use the form. So by clarifying that a form is specifically for these reports, students will feel more open to reporting these situations. And when we return to school in person, most students don't feel comfortable, like I said, approaching a school official directly. So an online form, I think, was most suitable. And once the form was created, I suggested that it should be promoted on Warren social media, because I feel like social media is the main source of information for teens. And this resource would also allow students to feel as if our voice was being heard. I also suggested that before the new school year starts, Warren should speak against bullying and harassment on social media. They should speak out against bullying and make it clear that it's not tolerated at Warren. They should talk to students about harassment and stress the importance of respecting others and their boundaries. And this is where I emailed it to my school. I emailed it to my principal, one of the assistant principals, and one of the dean of students. And I actually did get a response. I got a response from the principal, and I also got a response from the assistant principal that I had emailed. And she mentioned to me that she thought it was a really good idea, and she did think that there was always room for improvement. And hopefully before the school year starts, I get to meet with either both the dean or the dean of students. So to finish off my presentation, the reason I had chose this topic was because we are going back to school in person soon, and I feel like these are problems that could arise like during the school year. And I feel like this kind of goes back like to the mental health thing. I think that one's mental health is really important, especially within school, just because we do spend a lot of time at school, and bullying and harassment doesn't do one's mental health very well. So this is why I had chose it. The design thinking process overall, it really taught me that you have to be passionate about the topic that you choose, because while I was working on this, I did face some setbacks, but it didn't like knock me down or like make me lose motivation, just because I was really passionate about this topic. And it also helped me step out of my comfort zone, which I feel like is something that you need to do like when you're working in design thinking, because you can't be scared to reach out to others for help, because sometimes you can't do it all on your own, or you need to communicate with like higher level people to actually make a bigger change than you would be able to make if you were only working on with yourself. So yeah, that kind of ties up my presentation. I hope to meet with the principal or the dean so I can make some changes within my school. Again, my name is Emily Perez, and I attend Warren High School. So thank you guys.
Thank you very much, Emily. That was amazing. I really appreciate the thoughtfulness of looking out for others in the anti-bullying regard, and then especially having access to mental health resources right now. I think all of us can relate to having some kind of mental health struggle throughout the last year as we went through this COVID-19 and being remote and cut off from each other. So I really appreciate you being thoughtful about that and trying to make a difference. Cool. So up next, we have Susanna and Mark, who are also presenting with Amina and Caesar. This is an interesting group because it's a cross-pollination group between Downey and Glendale that decided to work together based on interest. So I'm going to let them go ahead and take it away.
Thank you, Adam. And I'll share the presentation right now. Hello, everyone. We are from the Design Thinking and Community Service internship with Bea Group. And so we'll be sharing about the summer field day event that we organized for kids. As Adam said, we unfortunately could not have our two members, but they did prepare a Zoom recording. So I'll share that.
Hi, my name is Emina Gargosian, and I work together with Susanna, Caesar, and Mark to coordinate a children's field day during our design thinking internship. Before I dive into the planning process, my role in pulling this together, and my takeaways from the experience, I would like to describe the final project that my group arranged. On Monday, July 19th, we gathered some of the children in our lives and held a field day at Elysian Park, where we participated in a bunch of outdoor activities. We started off with a game of kickball and then played baseball and soccer by the request of the kids. Then we broke off into teams and played a short game of dodgeball with jelly balls. While taking a break to cool down and get snacks, we played a game of hot potato sitting in the shade, which lasted longer than we expected. We ended the day with throwing around frisbees and playing a few rounds of charades. Both our group and the kids enjoyed being outside and spending some time being active with each other. When beginning to brainstorm about what I wanted to pursue for my community service project, I instantly knew that I wanted it to be centered around children. Through past volunteering experiences and my work as an assistant dance teacher, I have worked with children extensively and know that I enjoy being surrounded by them. Therefore, this is a project I would be passionate about. Also, I am generally good with children, and I was confident that I could give them a good experience. We decided that we wanted to plan a field day at the park with kids from a homeless shelter or an outpatient facility. My first action step was to email local shelters and find potential collaborators for our project. However, after reaching out to 5 facilities, it became apparent that our initial idea wasn't going to work. Due to limited time we had and COVID restrictions, we were unable to arrange a field day with the kids from any of our local homeless shelters. This failed attempt taught me that even designing a small event can take time, and there are many pieces that need to line up correctly for things to work out. We knew that we had the option to present an idea we were working on and would potentially act on in the future. However, we still wanted to try and make a small difference in our community during the span of our internship. Because of the lockdown, many children who regularly enjoy the outdoors and being active have lost out on time to socialize with others and play outside. Therefore, we decided to proceed with planning a field day, but do it with children in our lives. As a group, we discussed that what we wanted the day to consist of and came up with a list of activities that we thought would be fun for the kids. Then we split up the tasks. I was responsible for creating flyers for our event and purchasing the equipment for some of the activities. Through this experience, I learned that even small projects need so many pieces to come together in order for it to work, and they can take a lot of time. Collaboration and trusting your team is essential, and small achievements are still valuable. I also learned that I enjoy working with a group more than I previously thought. I also learned that I need to work on setting more realistic goals. Lastly, I noticed my time management skills improving due to the time constraint on this project.
And the next one is Caesar, and he also couldn't be here, so I'll share that video of his.
Hello, my name is Estrada, and this is my presentation for the Design Thinking Showcase. So the initial issue that I chose was to get kids outside and spending less time on their devices. And I chose this because I think the future generations are spending too much time on their devices and not really getting outdoors and enjoying what life is all about. And that's just life, going outdoors and having fun. So after I told this to Adam that this is what I wanted to work on, he put me and some of the other people in my design thinking project inside of a critical friend group. And in this friend group, we brainstormed ideas of what we could do for our project. So that included a kids' field day, a group hike, sending cards to kids in hospitals, and a beach cleanup. While all these were viable projects, we decided to go with the kids' field day because we thought it would be the most fun for kids, and it would really show them what like a nice day out in the park would be like. So the field day plans. So this was going to be on Monday the 19th at Elsion Park at noon. We picked Elsion Park because half of our group is in Glendale and half of our group is in Downey. So we decided to pick a park that was quite in between. We looked at multiple parks and we thought this was the best idea. So Elsion Park is right next to Dodger Stadium, and we decided to have a field day with the kids, have a few hours out there and just have fun and really show them the outdoors. So at the field day, the picture on the left is where we were at. It looks exactly where we were at. I'm not very sure, but looks exactly like it. Very beautiful day, sunny. And so what I brought to the field day was Capri Suns and waters, just so anyone could get a drink or whatever. And we played games like wiffle ball, kickball, and hot potato, and we just talked to the kids. And I feel like they had a lot of fun. So not many kids did show up to the field day, but I feel like the kids that did show up, they had a great time. I actually brought my little brother, and the next day he asked me, he's like, when are we gonna come back? Like, when are we gonna do this again? So that's when I knew that what I was doing was important, and I wanted to go further with this, and in the future I do with my group or whoever wants to join us. What could have been improved upon? I think we could have brought more kids to the event, just to, have more kids to talk to and stuff, to get more kids outside. But that's an easy fix. More kind of marketing of the event, posting flyers, sending more emails, that sort of stuff. And I also think we could have scouted out the park before we had the real event, just to get a set location and a set like address. But after that was set away, it was all good. We met and we had a great time. So what I learned from this experience in the internship and my project that our group was on, I feel like just trying, and everything ends up way better than you think. And that's why trying is the best thing you can do with any project, especially community service. And I learned that planning is key. All those hours on Zoom that we spent planning this project were very important in the whole thing. Picking the park, picking the time, making a flyer, which one of my group members made, sending emails, all of that. That was just what made the project way easier, and that's why it all happened. So I think that planning was very key in this whole situation. And that was my part in our project.
Hello, my name is Susanna Kim, and I will be talking to you all about my experience on our service project. When Adam, our lead supervisor, had asked us to think about an issue in our communities that we'd want to help out with, my first thought was helping underprivileged children. In general, I've always enjoyed helping people in any way that I can, and in the past, I have participated in events which helped underprivileged families and children. Therefore, I thought this internship would be the perfect opportunity for me to organize something in relation to that. Afterwards, we were put into critical friend groups, which allowed me to meet the other members of our group by discovering the similarities in our goals. As Emina said earlier, we initially wanted to visit a local homeless shelter or orphanage, which allowed me to meet the other, with planned activities for the children. However, due to the restrictions of the pandemic, as well as our time constraint, we weren't able to organize that event in time. So we decided to plan a more flexible project by hosting a summer park day for kids to join and hang out with activities and sports. During the past year, it has been difficult to meet in larger groups, so the field day was a great idea to get kids outside to be active and to socialize. So my action steps started with executing an empathy interview with a 7-year-old girl I know named Chloe in order to get some ideas on where to start with our project. I asked her questions about what she likes to do in her free time and what she and her friends enjoy doing together. In this way, I was able to get a rough idea of what our intended demographic group would appreciate. Once again, we worked together in finding a more realistic goal in which we can accomplish during the few weeks we had. And after careful planning, we ultimately scheduled our field day at the LSCN Park near Dodger Stadium for Monday the 19th at noon, where we invited any friends or relatives. Prior to the event, I created a list of our brainstormed ideas of any activities and materials needed. This was an efficient way to organize who can bring what for the park day. And on this slide, pictures from the summer field day itself. On the left, we started the event with playing a couple rounds of kickball and baseball with the kids. And while taking a break from the heat, we played some hot potato as well as some charades, which the kids seemed to enjoy. Overall, we let the kids choose what they wanted to play as a group with the materials that we brought. And from this experience, I learned a lot about the technicalities of design thinking, such as the time-consuming and extensive process. This was the first time I helped to organize an event without any major supervisors to follow, so I learned how detail-oriented it really is when it comes to designing a project from scratch. Another important takeaway I had is the importance of teamwork and cooperation. Since our project is one of the few group projects in our internship, teamwork is very important in executing a plan well. Because of all of our conflicting schedules, as well as living very far from each other, we had to learn how to accommodate to everyone's situations. For example, we made sure to choose a park that was accessible to all four of us without anyone having to drive an hour long to get there. Lastly, a major takeaway was being flexible when adjusting to new complications. As mentioned before, we had a couple planning issues, but we all learned to shift gears pretty quickly and gain motivation for a new but similar project that we were all really excited about. Overall, my experience in this internship and working with the other group members has been really great and lots of fun. Now I'll pass it on to Mark so he can share about his experience.
Hello, my name is Mark Mendez. My initial issue chosen when I was first introduced to this deep dive was to raise a toy drive for less fortunate kids. I've always had a soft spot for those less fortunate than myself and those who struggle financially and have like rough lives in general. And I felt that getting a toy drive to get new toys for kids who just can't afford them would be a great idea. However, within the time restraint, I didn't feel as if I'd have enough time to complete this. So then I ended up joining Caesar, Amaya's, and Susanna's team for the field day. When I was put into my group, I met them for the first time, and we all discussed our ideas and what we wanted to do. And I was really inspired by Caesar's enthusiasm to raise a field day. And after hearing him talk about what he thinks about children nowadays and how they spend too much time on technology, it really motivated me to join the field day and help out in any ways I can. My role in going to the park was I brought snacks. I brought a variety pack of chips from Costco and a pack of Kool-Aids so that the kids could relax and eat snacks whenever they're hungry, just relax and chill in the shade. My experience in all of this was that we had very few children. We had 4, but even with 4 children, it went really well. All the children had fun over there. You could see them smiling the whole time and enjoying their experience. It was something that was almost new to them after this whole time being away in quarantine, not being able to see and communicate with other children. This was also another reason I wanted to join, which is why I wanted to do the summer field day. Having these children communicate during quarantine, I feel would help them in life in general, because going so long without communicating might affect them in the future. They might not like communicating with each other, and it'll make things in life just harder when it comes to work or school. And then on my way to the park, my GPS was I don't know, it was acting up. So it started making me drive around in circles for a bit. But then eventually I found out how to get there. And it was a nice park. There's a lot of trees for shade. The grass was green, a big open field. And when it came to bringing the snacks, I brought a lot, so we didn't have to worry about like if a lot of children came up, we would have enough snacks for everyone. I also brought some Mott's gummies, but we didn't end up needing them because the children weren't that hungry when we were playing. And in terms of games, my brother, I brought my brother. He was really enjoying the games. He's an outdoor, he usually stays indoors, but he really likes outdoor games. He enjoyed the experience. He talked to me about it later on in the day. And I talked to my mom about it. And she said if we were to do anything like this again, she'll try to bring more of my family and more like kids in general so that they can have the same experience that everyone did that day. Thank you for joining us. This was our presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Susanna and Mark and Amina and Caesar, who had other commitments. And Susanna and Mark, thanks for that adaptability and thoughtfulness and like having them pre-record so we could hear from them. I thought that was brilliant. This group collaborated across Downey and Glendale, so it was really interesting to watch that take hold. And then when we came up with the design parameters of like, what are we doing? Why, what kind of issues? One of the things that came up was, yeah, there's these big societal issues, but sometimes spreading joy is really valuable too. And I really appreciated that perspective that this group brought, and just trying to bring some joy into young people's lives. So I thought that was exciting. Really nice work, guys. I'm proud of you. Up next, we have Emma. So Emma, I'm going to share a screen for you, I believe. Let me get that pulled up, and then we'll let you take it away. Give me 1 second here. All right, Emma, whenever you're ready, you can go ahead and get started. And if at any point I'm on the wrong slide or anything like that, just let me know and I'll go where you need me to.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Emma Estrada, and my slides are about the differences in culture by country. So I've grown up in the Downey Unified School District since the ages of 4 to I'm going to be about 17 when I graduate. And I've realized that there's a lot of internalized racism within the community because people don't realize that there are other mini communities or ethnic groups within a large minority group. Like how everybody assumes that every Latino is from Mexico and every Asian is from Japan or Korea. Although there's nothing wrong with being Japanese or Korean or Mexican, there's just a little bit lack of education, specifically like with little kids, where they can't realize, hey, maybe someone's feeling a little bit left out. And I've felt that way my whole life because everybody went with Mexican traditions like Cinco de Mayo or Day of the Dead, and my country and my community doesn't really celebrate that stuff. So I kind of felt a little bit excluded as a little kid. And I felt like, hey, maybe my history isn't as important enough as others, which is why I created these slides for the younger generation and specifically little kids in elementary schools. Next slide, please. Thank you. My initial idea was to address these different issues to little kids via PowerPoints and presentations at their own schools, and that hopefully it's gonna lead to more discussion about their own specific cultures and identities, and which allows more cultural representation in all schools. And hopefully doing this, the new generation has a little bit less of the internalized racism that I faced growing up. Next slide, please. My action steps were that I conducted empathy interviews with people from different backgrounds who I'm personally friends with and who have little siblings. I interviewed Japanese Americans, Mexicans, Guatemaltecos, Mexicans, and Salvadorians, where I asked them what they knew about their own background and if they know anything about anybody else's. And I realized that a lot of people know a lot about their own cultures, but not a lot about others, because they feel like, why do I have to learn about it if it doesn't involve me? And so I reached out to my old principal at Rio San Gabriel Elementary School, asking if I could share these slides and add it to the curriculum that they teach the younger generation. I didn't get a response, but about a week ago, I got a response about 2 weeks after I initially sent the email. And he said that once school begins, we can have a larger discussion about the implementation and the possibilities of it becoming reality. And so hopefully it becomes a much larger project that I can continue doing on after this project and internship. Next slide, please. And so here are my slides about the information about different countries. I began with Central America, and so I made sure that each slide and each new title slide has a place where you can see where it is on the globe and like how it looks on a map as well as their location. I began with Guatemala because that's my culture and that's where my parents are from and my whole family lives there. And so here you can see the flag, where it is on the globe and where it is on a map. Next slide, please. Thank you. I did this for all the different Central American countries, but I didn't get as far as I would like. I discussed food, clothing, music, and a bunch of other areas. And specifically, you can see how all of these add to a very bright, vibrant culture that you can't really find anywhere else. The clothing is traditional. It's not really worn by the younger generation, but people like my grandparents, I've grown up seeing them wear this stuff. So I always felt connected by it. And I asked them for this to send me an outfit. And I'm currently wearing a traditional huipil. I need to disconnect my laptop. Give me a sec. There you go. I need to lower it a little bit. I'm wearing a traditional huipil. You can't really see the colors a lot, but it's really colorful. And it's extra special to me because it actually belongs to my grandmother. And so it meant a lot that she actually sent it so I could present it to you guys and you could see what it looks like. People from all ages also wear it. You can see that little kids, little girls wear it as well. You can also see that food is also a major part of their culture where you kind of like, it's garnachas, which is the traditional food. When you think of Guatemala, that's what you see. It's sort of like the sopes from Mexico, but it has its own little twist on it that represents the Mayan culture that represents Guatemala. And so you can also go to the music where the traditional instrument is a marimba. If I had more time, I would show you guys like the music and like so you could hear it and listen to it. But since this is time limited, hopefully little kids can see this when they have the time. So can you go to the next slide, please? I also continued on with like little facts of information. I only put the basic information because again, this was very time limited. So I wasn't able to go and delve into much detail as I would have liked. So I mentioned the drinks, the typical animal, which is a quetzal, which is kind of like the mascot in a way of Guatemala. You can see it on the flag. And their money is called the quetzal, which is named after the traditional animal called the quetzal. So the quetzal is a very prominent part of Guatemala. Next slide, please. And as a reminder, this is mostly meant for little kids. So I added little elements of like sort of like fun for them. So that way it's not completely boring and they're not going to be bored out of their minds. So I kind of added little tidbits of information. And so like that way there's a little interaction between it. There's also numerous tourist destinations because Guatemala is mostly known as a volcano and mountain country. So it has beautiful landscapes, natural reservoirs all over the place. And it also has very old architecture. You can see Antigua, Esquipulas, Panajachel, and Tikal, which are the main locations where you can go visit in Guatemala. It's the main touristy places. I've seen 3 of them. I haven't had the chance to go to Tikal because it's the complete opposite direction where my grandparents are. But I've been able to see all 3 of those places in real life. And it's beautiful and you get to see a bunch of different people. There's artisans who are selling their work on the streets. There are people painting, and there's just so much culture and stuff like that. You can walk down one street and you're just completely immersed in all the colors. You can see on the under the artisan work, you can see like people selling their works. And I have a couple of their works here. I have more, but here's kind of like my favorites. Like right here, this is all handmade, made from colorful materials. It's a little dinosaur. I have a little pig. I have a little turtle. There's more that I have, but these are my personal favorites. And religion is also a major part of Guatemala. So almost everybody is Catholic. So we have a little Virgencita that's also in typical stuff. Esquipulas is mainly known for their really old church where they have a statue of Jesus.
And so it's really old, it's like 400 years old. And so every time you go there, you go get blessed. And that's the main attraction in Esquipulas. People travel from all over the world. Like my grandparents and I drove for 8 hours just to go see that. And so we had a wonderful time and it was amazing. And as well as their own native languages, they have Quiche. Personally, I cannot speak it or say anything to save my life, but Guatemala school children are taught how to speak it. They're first taught Spanish, then they're taught English and then Quiche, so that way they still feel connected. And so that way that aspect of our culture doesn't disappear completely. Next slide, please. I added multiple videos, which again, we do not have time for, but hopefully the little kids are able to watch these and they can see a little delve into more deeper insight into what life is like every single day. And so you can see what it looks like as instead of just through pictures, you can see people explain their own culture, you can listen to it, you can view it, you can see things being made. And there are little descriptions of like what each video is about, along with how long it is. So hopefully if like the teacher has an off day or they don't have enough to teach or they have a bunch of like empty space time, they can watch these videos and learn a little bit, but also have it a little bit fun. Next slide, please. The Guatemalan culture in pictures, because I know that lots of kids are visual learners. So I added a bunch of pictures where everywhere you can see something new. You can see paintings, you can see artisan work, you can see people selling stuff, clothing, and then you see a grandma and her granddaughter at a market because that's how many people make their living. They sell organic foods and stuff in like mini markets. And so that's hopefully they live day to day so they can like make enough money to provide for their families. Like my grandparents did this with my mom. I've seen others go through the same thing. And so it's really important to like not mention Guatemala isn't all beautiful and rainbows and happiness. There's also a really deep need for help and assistance because it's really a third world country, which is largely ignored, so it doesn't get the support it needs. Next slide, please. This is a work in progress. I was planning on doing all of Central America, but because I only had about 3 weeks once I came up with my initial idea to do all of it, I managed to complete the Guatemala slides, the Belize slides, and the El Salvador slides, which means that I still have to complete the Honduras, Nicaragua, and Costa Rica, and Panama. And so I wouldn't have been able to do this without the help of my family. So shout out to them because I literally wouldn't have known anything about Guatemala. I learned so much. I learned more about my own culture, which was really important to me and really helped me feel more connected to my family because even though I only see them like once every year, it made me feel a lot closer to them, which I really appreciated about this internship. And so my former elementary school teacher got back to me about it. So hopefully once the school year begins, we can implement this into the curriculum because that was the major issue I faced during this whole thing. Not only was it time constraints, but it was also the fact that we did this during summer and lots of people are on vacation, so I can't reach anybody. So that's where it goes to my next slide. I learned about design thinking is that most of the time what you work on is out of your hands and you can't control what happens. And so whatever happens, you have to learn to like persevere and be okay with it. So like, even if I wouldn't have gotten anything back or nobody would have helped me out, I still would have done this, even if it wouldn't have gotten anywhere. So hopefully maybe it'll reach like one person and one person would have made an impact because I'm like, okay, I did my part. At least one more person in the world knows a little bit more about my culture and other people's cultures. And as I was working on this, my friend who's currently in El Salvador, she was also a major help to me because I didn't know a lot about El Salvador. And she told me like, oh no, we also have this, we also have this. And so I realized that a lot of cultures also interact with each other in Guatemala, Belize, El Salvador. They all share the marimba, they all have Mayan roots, but I didn't mention a lot of Mayans in other places because of disputes between the countries. And so it kind of realized that we're all connected in a way, even though we kind of separate ourselves like, oh, she's Mexican, huh? Or, oh, she's from El Salvador. We're all connected in a way larger way than we are as individuals. So thank you so much. I'm Emma Estrada, and thank you so much for listening to my presentation.
Thank you so much, Emma. I have this vision of you like once a month going into elementary school or middle school classrooms, like in your dress, and sharing that work, and reaching out to students and passing on that curriculum, because the way you do it is just contagious. Like, and I hope that this continues to grow for you in that regard. I think it's amazing, and I'm proud of you, and just how much you care about inclusivity and getting everyone represented and things like that. All right, last but not least, we have my friend John, who's gonna share and bring us home. John, you ready?
Hi everyone, my name is John Atala, and a problem I'd like to solve in my community is college and career readiness. So a problem that I saw in my community was people really struggled to find what they wanted to do in life. They really, and myself included, struggled to find a passion that they wanted to pursue in college and overall in their careers. So my first solution was to add a class at my high school, which would take students through CTE classes at my school, which are basically college pathway classes, but all in 1 year. So they could actually explore and see different college pathways and careers that they could pursue in life. So where I got this idea from was basically in middle school. There was this class where you went through all of the electives that you could take in 1 year, so you could see what you wanted to do in middle school after that in your last 2 years. So yeah, I basically combined that with the idea of CTE classes or college-based classes, and yeah, I began to pursue and talk to people at my school, administrators, to try and get this class through. But first, I interviewed Joshua Maleka, an 8th grader. So how he felt was he really didn't feel prepared for college, and he was really in my same boat where he didn't know what he wanted to do in life. He wasn't really guided. Yeah, and I presented my idea to him of the new class, and he said he really thought that it would help him find what he wanted to do in life. So I had the approval of the people that I would be working to help, so I began to start working. So first I sent an email to my vice principal at my school, and he really liked my idea, but he also said that they would begin talks on the school board level trying to get this class pushed through, or the CTE board, I'm sorry. And time was definitely a roadblock. I realized that getting a class in the time span we had would be nearly impossible. So I regrouped and convened with Adam. What I got from speaking with Adam was he basically presented to me an idea of adding or creating a career readiness resource bank. So what I did is I created a website for it. And let me just drop that link in the chat. Oops, sorry. And basically this website, it gives students a chance to explore different college classes and explore different career pathways. And I listed my own story to show them that they're not alone and that someone has went through this before them. So I included an aptitude test that would basically combine their interests and see what they wanted to pursue. And I then included many pathways that they could explore. That ranged from engineering, computer science, the medical field, mathematics, marine biology, law, English, and architecture. And basically what I did was I gave a basic job description, the average salary, an article on the job that they would be going to or the college field, and I included videos. And the goal for this was basically to give students a chance to see whether or what they wanted to pursue in life. And that was truly my main goal when I started. So I felt that this would be the next best option to a class. So my reflection. I learned that design thinking is accepting failure and being able to redesign and move forward. You should never take failure to heart, because getting up and going back to the drawing board is the essence of design thinking. I couldn't quit because this was bigger than myself. It wasn't about me anymore. I was trying to help younger people find their passion in life. And when failure strikes, I'll be ready to go back to the drawing board myself. To succeed, you must work with others and be able to brainstorm. Personally, I saw a side of myself that I never saw. I saw someone who was not concerned about their own struggles, but the struggles of others also. I won't quit on helping anyone anymore. I will put them first before myself. And I feel that if you have a passion in life and you truly work hard at it, even if you fail, you need to get back up and keep pursuing that passion, because at the end of the day, hard work and passion is really what truly guides you to success. Thank you to the Beja group for the amazing opportunity and the unforgettable life lessons. Once again, my name is John Atala, and that was my presentation. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Really appreciate you bringing us home with that. I think your reflection kind of says it better than I could and represents, what we went through as a group. I really just asked you guys an open-ended question when we started. I said, what do you guys care about? And what do you want to do about it? And the ideas and the actions that you guys came up with over the last month have blown me away. And when you talk about passion and care, like this, I enjoy this. This is fun for me because I feel inspired and I feel hopeful after hearing from you and seeing the actions that you guys take. And so I applaud all of you for the efforts that you put in during this program. I have been nothing short of impressed. So, and that's our team, June.
I know, Adam. I just wanted to, congratulate you all. This was huge and such an amazing journey to watch you walk us through the steps. I loved how you walked us through the design thinking process, what challenges you faced, what were the highlights, what was it that you each got out of it. So similar to Adam, this is one of those that as you're sharing, I want to just share that we are right now doing our own social design thinking, which is this virtual internship, which we have been transparent with you that we have co-designed with interns over the last year. We co-designed last summer. And as we get your feedback, so those were essentially, did you see some similarities? So we tried to do empathy interviews as much as we could with people that we wanted to serve. I wanted to shout out to John Harris. John, I don't know if you saw the last presentation. It's something near and dear to your heart. With college and career readiness, which is, so if you want to say a little bit more about who you are and our work together, and that'd be awesome, John.
Well, this certainly is a day to celebrate our student projects and student learning, and to all of you interns that have presented your projects. We're so very proud of your work, and you're to be commended and congratulated on the work that you did. I can't tell you how happy I am when I hear students say, I will use this into my adulthood and into life. I've learned so much here, and that really is our objective. I am the Director of College and Career Readiness at the Downey Unified School District, which we work with June and her group on applying for grants and paying for spectacular programs like this. Without those grants, this wouldn't be possible. And without the support of the school board here in the Downey Unified School District and all of the various people that are involved, Adam, thank you so much for being the lead on this. Done some fabulous work with these students with regard to all of their work on the projects. We're just so happy with everything that you're doing. And quite frankly, we don't want to do anything that's not going to make a big difference in your life moving forward. And so the evidence of that comes out in your student presentations. Really impressed with all of them. And I would love to have the links to all of the pieces in Emma's presentation and see the eventual work on all of Central America. That would be wonderful. So I've spoken enough. This is the students' format, I guess. really today in our celebration of all that you're working on.
This is our chance for question and answers. Thanks, Emma. She put that into the chat.
Yeah, thank you so
And-
much, Emma.
No problem.
And I do want to just, before we go into questions and answers and our interns, I just wanted to just some of the highlights that I heard from each of you is that this is mindful in that when John and I, when we apply for grants, we talk a lot about what some of the takeaways. So what you shared, I just wanted to echo back to you some of what that you really, this is about problem solving. So as I mentioned in the past, this was a virtual internship because of a pandemic, and you all have rose to the occasion of doing something that others may not have been doing. And so working and really committing to this spirit of going after what you cared about, it's just been awesome. And then, so I guess my question for each of you is, what did you expect when you signed up for this internship? What did you expect? And then what would you say now has happened? And sort of your reflection. Go ahead, Jacqueline.
I could start us off. When I first saw that about design thinking, I got very hopeful because working with the National Health Foundation, we talked about a white part project, and basically a white part project is almost similar about design thinking. And for period equity, I had been wanting to do that for a really long time. But when coming into the project, I thought they were going to teach us how to like sort of do things and like tell us, okay, you need to do this. That was going to be more strict. And then coming in, Adam was definitely, this is your guys' project. I'm here to guide you. I'm here to help you. But ultimately, we were able to learn things and gain so many more skills by being able to do trial and error. So definitely, this was definitely a wonderful internship that I definitely enjoyed and would do it over if I could.
Well, that's awesome, Jacqueline. And so yeah, go ahead, John.
What I expected going into this was to basically just help someone. I chose design thinking because I saw a problem in my community and I just wanted to help. But when I entered the program, I felt scared. I really didn't want to put myself out there, but through Adam's support, I felt ready to do whatever it took to help the people in my community.
And your final reflection, just saying that it's bigger than you, is really huge, because often to have change happen in the world, it is bigger than ourselves. And I just want to just acknowledge that all of you are part of this journey of this is bigger than ourselves. What we're doing together right now with this live stream, with your projects, your willingness to share what you've gotten out of it. We're really hoping that we can share what is possible. And to talk about having young people get paid for an internship where you have experiences that ideally serve you in your futures. And so this is all part of the design. And I just have to say, when you were all talking about the field day, what you were saying was a little bit about how we felt about this internship. We put it out there and we weren't sure who was going to show up. And we weren't really sure what to expect. And so you all applied and did the interview and submitted. And so this is part of just those experiences you shared with just putting something out into the world and seeing what happens. So this is sort of a culmination of something we put out there and what you got out of it. So thank you for that. Thank you for sticking with it. Thank you for showing up today and sharing with us all who are live on YouTube right now. And how about others? Do you have anyone else want to share about what you might have had, what you thought, and then what actually happened for you?
When I first decided on design thinking, my initial idea was helping out animals and making sure they all had shelters, making sure, especially because we're in a pandemic and how a lot of us are going back into school, so they're going to be lonely, and how a lot of pets most likely are going to be abandoned, which is really sad. But the more I went into it, I'm like, I have no idea where I can start. And I'm like, okay, this is just too huge. And I love animals, but I couldn't really see myself working as passionately as I did about the Guatemala project and a bunch of other areas. And I started looking like more into myself, I guess. I did a lot more self-reflection than I've ever done before in my life. And I'm like, wow, that really did affect me as a child. And I'm like, I know I can name off the top of my head like 5 other kids who are like younger than me, like either a couple of years or like a whole decade, who are going through what I'm going through right now. So I'm like, if I could help them out, maybe that's gonna make, maybe further down the line, they're gonna do the same thing. And so that way it's just gonna become this huge idea. And so I just got really excited about it. And so like I worked harder, like I'm usually a really hard worker, but I worked harder than I think I've ever done before because I realized that passion is such a powerful motivator. And I would have never begun this without design thinking and Adam encouraging me to be like, hey, it doesn't matter if this huge thing, it doesn't matter if you complete it, as long as you like work hard and you do your best. So thank you so much.
Yeah. And so, you know, we've talked about in the beginning, we talked about the idea of decentralization and autonomy, right? So giving you guys the choice to choose what you work on and then the tools to take it in the direction you want. And that's really all I had to do. And I think our hopefully, you know, hopefully you guys take these skills with you into the schools and the workplace and things like that. And then the mantra that we've been talking about this whole time is that some of these issues feel large and looming, and they are, but societal change happens incrementally. So take a step. It takes individuals to make change, right? There's never going to be this huge hand that comes down and causes all these things to shift that we want to see shift. It's people taking individual actions. It's people having empathy and then applying that empathy to make a difference. And so you guys did that, and I'm really proud of you for that. And yeah.
Yeah, are there others out there who want to share? Can I start calling on people? Would that be okay? It'd be great to hear from each of you if you're willing. Olivia, are you willing to share?
Sure. Similar to John, I was just coming into this internship or design thinking. I just wanted to help someone out. Like I mentioned earlier, my initial goal was mental health awareness, which is also very people oriented. But as I went into like each meeting, I began thinking about how I could collaborate with other people in my design thinking branch. And I felt that like, even though like my idea is like very, very important, mental health awareness is very important during these times. But I found that just anything collaborative, like peer equity, like it just made me want to just work even harder than I originally thought I would. I definitely found that, as Emma mentioned, passion truly leads to true determination. So it was very, very fun. It was very fun and enjoyable. And I definitely would recommend this internship for upcoming juniors and seniors. And yeah, it was very fun.
I have a follow-up question. Did you meet your colleagues from Glendale? Wait, were you in the park group? The
No,
field day?
I was in Downey's period plan.
Period plan. I'm so sorry. I'm getting confused. Yes, period plan, which I did donate to. And it was awesome, your idea. And I've often found myself in a situation when I really could have used the period plan. So yes. Anyone? So I'm going to call on Emily. Is that okay, Emily?
Yeah, so coming into this internship, it was kind of similar like to what everyone has been saying so far. Like, I genuinely thought we were going to be given a topic and then like we were going to be told, okay, so this is your role, like you do this. But I was kind of surprised like at the fact that we were given the freedom to work on whatever we wanted to work on. And I feel like that made the internship like even more personal because we were able to choose topics that were very meaningful like to us, and like we weren't Adam didn't put any limits or restrictions on us, which I thought was very good as well. And I feel like it helped us like push ourselves out of our comfort zone, like I had mentioned earlier, because we weren't told like any directions, we weren't given directions. So I feel like we were kind of free to take the steps that we thought were appropriate to whatever we wanted to achieve. So yeah, I think it was a really big help.
Thanks, Emily. Jocelyn, how about for you?
So going into design thinking, I was really scared because it wasn't my number one, it was my number two. So going into it, I was already thinking, oh, what company am I picking? What am I doing, for the other internship? So switching gears was very difficult. I had to come up with like a plan on the spot. And my first plan was too big for the short amount of time we had. But I remember, and like I remember talking to John, and he referred Olivia to me because I know we were both really passionate about period equity and stuff like that, and also mental health. So he kind of started our group without knowing. And I was like really thankful for that, because not only was it, I guess, a more welcoming thing, because she was kind of like, hey, Jocelyn. It wasn't like scary. I didn't have to approach somebody head on and say, this is what I want to do. Do you want to do it? We kind of all came up and incorporated ideas to make Downey's period plan.
Awesome. Thanks, Jocelyn. So can I go to Luis? Would you be willing to share what you expected and then what it was like actually?
I expected to learn a lot from this internship, especially like soft skills that they're called, like time management and communication, stuff like that. And I definitely did gain like an improvement in those areas, and also got out of my comfort zone. So this was a really good experience. But yeah, that's what I learned.
That's amazing. Thanks, Luis. And it is something that we do care a lot about, which is we've been trying to not call them soft skills. We're trying to say there's nothing soft about what you're learning. We're calling them workplace intelligence, WQ, similar to emotional intelligence, which is a lot of what you have been talking about with regard to problem solving and communication skills, collaboration, working across communities of people that you don't know, and how to do that in a virtual environment, because that's really a lot. Starting a job, doing it virtually, working collaboratively, those are workplace intelligence skills that you can take with you. And so I'm going to see if Mark, would you be willing to go next?
Yes. Well, I took away from this internship what I was like when I first joined. When I first joined the internship, I wasn't really sure what to expect. I thought it was gonna be like kind of office where like we plan together and like just make one thing, and that it would feel like more workish. But with what Adam did for us, like how he presented it to us, it felt more like a big project that we call like work together on and enjoy more than like work. And it was fun. It was nice doing what we did. And the time management skills, that's definitely something I got to improve on, because I haven't always been the best on time management. I usually do things like last minute, but with a project like this, we were able to like plan it ahead, and it was good. I liked it.
I love what you all said about time management, being organized, and just because you should all know, I've been working from home for 20 years. So it's something that everything we do is a project, and work functions. I use the word work more as in my life's work versus work in the stereotypical way that, it's drudgery. Or I would have to say everything that I do for my life's work is based on passion and something that I care about. And it's something that's the trick, is how do you get paid to do the stuff you love? That's the part. And hopefully we've modeled it. Hopefully you've seen that when we do this, we're all getting paid. So that's the other part. You all got paid. Woo-hoo, right? Paychecks have been happening, right? And so this is part of the this is part of the dream, is how do you get paid to do the stuff that you care about? Because it doesn't feel like quote unquote work. So Susanna, can I turn to you? Are you willing to share?
Yeah. So if I'm being honest, when I first heard design thinking, I wasn't sure exactly what that meant. But then I read the description and it said something in relation to community service. So I thought that'd be really fun. And then going into the actual internship, I was really surprised that we just had like zero restrictions. And because usually in school and when working on a project, we would have like a checklist of things we needed to complete. And so in this way, we got to work with other students and also meeting new people. That was like really fun, especially from the other school. So for me, that was like a lot of fun, meeting new people and working with like other teenagers and something that we can all be passionate about working on together. So yeah, that was my experience.
Coworkers are the best, right? Do you all feel like your coworkers? Did you learn stuff about your coworkers? Did you meet anybody like physically? I'm just curious of the group. Could someone share like what that was like?
Oh yeah, so the four of us, me, Mark, Caesar, and Emina, we met up at the park, and that was my first time seeing all three of them. I'm not sure about them, but yeah, it was like really fun and just organizing that event. It was really different from because so far we were organizing it through Zoom, and then like actually having the event, it just made everything so much more real.
Exactly. And picking a park that was convenient, so you had to deal with logistics and getting there. And so, yes. What about for the rest of you? Because you are from Downey Unified, how's it going to be when you go back to school in person? You're all seniors now. What's different?
For me, I already knew who Olivia was. We had just never talked in person. And then we both do ASB, so we had to go paint the stage. And like as soon as we saw each other, it acted like if we knew each other for like years. Like it acted like nothing happened. Nina, who had to leave, I was in track and field with her for 2 years, so I already knew who she was. But after not being in communication for a whole year, definitely felt nice to be able to talk to her. Sadly, I still have not met Jocelyn, but definitely I know if I ever like see her, when we see each other face to face, I know it would be exactly the same way as I saw Olivia. These are amazing women who I got to work with, and I truly have so much appreciation for each and every single one of them, because it truly showed like hard work definitely pays off, and to see that we all have passion for period equity definitely made everything so much more worth it.
Thanks, Jacqueline. That's awesome. Anyone else want to share about what it's like to work virtually, and then what it's like when you will be back in person?
I was gonna say another thing. I always get so nervous to work in groups because I feel like one person is always trying to take over, or somebody's like, oh, they could do the work, and then I'll just sit back. But with with our group, everybody was doing their part. Everybody was trying to do even more than they could. And even if one person had a job, we were all there to like look out for them, to make sure that they were able to do it. And if not, so we could help them. And I know I had to leave to Mexico and my internet was horrible, but they still stuck with me, and we were all still able to do all of our practices. We were still able to stay after all of the Zoom meetings to continue working. And I really appreciated that.
Thanks, Jocelyn. I know there's geography issues, there's travel that happens. So yes, that's one of the gifts of virtual, is you could be in Mexico and try to participate still. Anyone else want to share? Angela, do we have any questions on YouTube to field?
Not at the moment.
Okay. John or Adam or anyone else have any questions, or Barb for our interns?
No, I popped in that I have no questions, just was impressed. They were so thorough and informative.
Yes, the presentations were so smooth.
Yeah, I don't have any questions. I just I'm proud and thankful that I got to work with you guys. I know you might look at me as the leader of this internship, but I got as much out of it as you guys did, and working and seeing the directions you went and the ideas you guys came up with. You know, we talked about I'm building a business and trying to make change in the education world, and I have a lot to learn and do. And so you guys were really helpful in bringing your perspectives, because you know, the young people are the ones that are going to inherit these systems that we're all working on. So it's good to have your guys' feedback, and I appreciate it.
I totally agree. And I hope that this is the fun part, is we're all planning to stay connected, because that's a part of building this community, because you will forever be connected to us at Bea Group, because that's one of the things that we care deeply about, is to be mentors. This is why Barb and John and Adam, all of us that do this work, is because we really care. So please do stay connected with us. And it's something where we have certainly had interns who have used us for recommendations for college applications, for job references, and I still invite you to hang out with me if you haven't. So we will continue that. We're going to have our celebration on Friday. So Adam, please join us. And John, we will be celebrating all of this internship, which has been so amazing and special. I just keep saying that this is a gift. This has been something that has been, just talk about passion project. You all, this internship is my personal passion project. It's something that I have said many times. Downey is my unicorn school district. It's Downey Unicorn School District, not unified. It's been a dream to be working with John, with folks in the district. And it's something where we've extended it to 2 other communities, because Downey has been the model. And so thank you all for participating in this. Thank you for all your feedback with our surveys, our weekly reflections, because it is with this design thinking principles that we guide this internship program. It is our form of empathy interviews are those surveys. That's why we do those things. So now you can see a little bit about the why. And your feedback's so important to us, because we want to continue serving. And it's something that we take seriously. So please, if there's ways we can improve, please let us know. And then for those of you watching on YouTube, you could see the passion. It's so amazing and contagious. I am so excited just about what is possible. And so I just wanted to thank all of you. And so, John, do you have anything before we say goodbye?
No, just a repeat of what it's already been said. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So glad that this was a meaningful experience for everyone.
And Adam, thank you so much. And all right. And then for our interns, thank you. And we'll say goodbye. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the live stream. And if you could stay for a minute, that'd be great. Thanks everyone for watching. I want to give a plug that we are doing CRISPR at 2 o'clock. So CRISPR, 2 o'clock, back on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/Bea Group. We will be back with another group of Downey interns doing another deep dive. So CRISPR, so those of you who want to learn more about the genetic technology, CRISPR, will be back at 2 o'clock. And until then, we'll say goodbye now. Thank you.